Hi, Zizaran here with another video for the upcoming Crucible League, and I figured I would go over some of the recently asked questions and FAQ things, talk about a few of them, and if there are some that are confusing, I'll explain them, etc. First off, is Crucible going to be a core mechanic? They always decide that later, and that's always good. In my opinion, they should probably never have a league go core instantly, just to avoid another harvest. I think it's always good if they just really make sure that a league really suits the entire game. I'm actually a big fan of the borrowed power stuff, which is like give people around the same power every league and take it away again, but in different spots. That's a great way, in my opinion, to combat power creep, because you're always feeling like you're having something new and powerful that is fresh and exciting, but you're not adding to insane power creep. Not gonna let us see like early thing. I'm assuming we'll just data mine this anyway. I really hate data mining. For those that don't know what that is, it's basically as soon as the patch is downloadable, people can like extract pretty much all the information out of it. I wish there was a way for them to hide that, because the best experience I ever had in Path of Exile was Dark Shrine. So there was no data mining back then. So we had no idea what item we were sacrificing and what it would do. And we had to slowly figure it out as a community. And that was such a joy. Next up, they're talking about how Crucible trees are randomly generated. So it's based on item level and class. So that means that you're probably... Like, I'm going to be playing Toxic Rain Pathfinder. So I can see myself picking up a lot of short bows and grove bows, because I want lower dex requirement ones. And I am guessing that we will have to, like, fry it, forge it once. To see the tree. I'm guessing you can't just pick up an item, look at the tree, and say it's bad. You probably have to forge it once, I would assume. You can reforge them infinitely. I can already see, though, since they said it's going to work similar to Recombinators, I could see that maybe you end up making like a giga perfect one where you end up like forging 40 things together to try to get the perfect base. Blood price has been confirmed that it does work the same as players. So if you reserve and unreserve, you have lost that life and you would have to regenerate it. You could technically, yeah, use it as a helmet swap for 8% more damage on bosses. Master Distiller, the Pathfinder thing where you have to consume something, will not work with Mage Blood. That kind of makes sense because you never like use the flask. Unleash is such a insane mechanic in this game. It must be the single most complicated mechanic. Clarified, it's basically, does it recover 10% of your max total life per second from leech? Which is, yeah. Still has a maximum amount, and if you leech the max amount per leech, like if you're dealing enough damage, you're gonna get 10% of that and 90% over time still. But things like Worm's Mold with life recovery per second won't affect the instant leech part. Another thing that's been clarified is skills cost life instead of 30% of mana cost. That will be, yeah, so it'll cost 3 life and 7 mana. So you can split it a little bit, make your mana easier. And maybe we can use this with minus mana cost to only cost a little bit of life. I am guessing if you have 10 mana and you just get -7, it's just gonna cost 3 life, which is pretty manageable for a lot of builds. So it could actually end up being really good for a lot of builds. And they have added that like really cool new life mastery, 15% max life if you have no life on anything on the chest, like regen anything with the life tag. And they are not changing any uniques because of that. Still a very huge thing though. Like, it's actually such a great mastery. GGG have finally said that they are looking into stance dancing. So there's been some changes to Nimbus, and there's actually 2 notes about this. There's 2 documents, one recently asked and one frequently asked. And here it says, will Nimbus projectiles return even if they hit nothing? And in most cases, yes. If a projectile lasts for an explicit duration like Spark or fades out, it'll stop existing and then can't return. And then there's also some changes here. It does sound like most Nimbus builds shouldn't be affected, but it's also definitely something you're going to have to play around with and see. I don't think they're trying to nerf Nimbus. I think people are worried about Kinetic Blast though, but we'll see. Definitely a little confusing wording on both of them, even with the clarification. United Dream does not lose its poison chance, so this is really good. It means that we still have a good way to get poison chance, for example, on Chains of Command. Balance of Terror and anything from the last thing from Sanctum is not obtainable, so Eternal Damnation as well. Spark's projectile speed is being reduced by 25%. I don't think that was initially in the patch notes, but it is now. That's definitely pretty rough. Definitely makes me a lot less happy to like League Start lightning skills, because it had such a strong early game before that it was really cool to recommend to people for League Start. It had the non-crit lightning spells, or Lucky, as well, which is now a endgame amulet from Breach. So definitely would be very careful of League Starting lightning skills. Here they're asking about Book of Regression being removed. We were currently using that to make level 1 characters to buy item level 2 ones from the vendor. We were using it to permanently farm Foothills, and people were using it to farm Heist. But they've now been removed from the game, so neither of those things are possible anymore. Here they're asking if you'll be able to mix and match, because Ruthless has its own challenges with its own reward now, but they are separate challenge tracks, so you cannot mix and match. Then more questions about Ruthless. Why is it in Ruthless? And yeah. And then if there's a prize pool for killing the event on console. It's very surprising if it's going to be a hardcore boss kill event on console. Normally, they do the boss kill event on softcore, on console, because there's just not that many people that play, especially not competitively. So I think this is the first hardcore boss kill event on console, I believe. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. But I would be very surprised if anyone can do that on console. Most of us are now expecting that. We haven't really heard of anyone that's going for it on hardcore. On PC, I mean. So console would be insane. There's a new mastery that has a 25% chance when you cast a spell to open a chest, but it says nearby. I really wish they would remove nearby. That would be my #1 wish, I think, right now for Path of Exile. Just put a range, because after a while, even if it says open a chest within range 30, within range 100, etc., you eventually get used to it, but with nearby, you can't learn anything. Each thing will be completely individual, and you'll have like no frame of reference for how far away it is. So that would be, I really wish that would change. So things like Necro Aegis, Animate Weapon, Animate Guardian will work with Crucible trees. This could be a huge buff for Animate Guardian and Animate Weapon with things like Chains of Command. Very, very cool, actually, especially with, we've seen that you have flat physical on it, so it could be insanely strong. And they explain that even a lot of them will work because they aren't allocated as skill trees. However, anything that specifically allocates a notable, that will not work. But yeah, that's very cool. This was something I think Nugi brought up. Nugi or Ventura was bringing this up a lot, but will you consider adding a Crucible specific equipment slot like Sanctum Relic so that players don't have to potentially sacrifice leveling gems in their weapon swap to like see what you were going to forge? And yeah, the leftmost identified weapon in your inventory will also be selectable in Crucible encounters. This is really nice. That means that you can just carry that in your inventory, and you won't have to like switch out weapons or sacrifice leveling gems. So that's great. And more clarification on the trigger bots. They are basically going to be like Arcanist brand, so they're going to be a new location that things get casted from. I think it'll look really cool to play. But yeah, nothing is about where the skill is targeted at. It's just where it's coming from. I think that is pretty much everything that's been posted so far. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed me going over the recently asked questions with you. Thanks so much for watching. Sub if you liked the video. I hope you guys have a blast in the upcoming league. But more importantly, try to die less than I do.